it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Friday, September 22nd. So today is a big day. Let's just get that right out of the way, right out of the gate. Why is it the big day, you may ask? Well, first of all, it's the last day of Virgo season. Anytime we are on the last day of a season or we see a planet on the very final degrees of a sign, we know that there's going to be an urgency, an intensity, in order for us to really, truly look back over the season and figure out what it is that we actually learned. If you need to go back, listen to the astro forecast on what Virgo season was all about, please go ahead and do so. Give yourself a little bit of an opportunity to see how aligned you are with this current energy. Now, today is also a big day because it is the last day before the equinox energy that, of course, gets triggered and activated when Libra season comes running in. Now, even more than that, we are building towards the first quarter moon taking place in Sagittarius energy, which should kind of show us where it is that an action point, a decision point, a choice point is needed, where we are kind of receiving an illumination on the options, the choices, the path, and moving forward, where we're optimistic, we're confident more so than we have been over the last couple of weeks, and where we're preparing a renewal, if you will, in our trust, in our faith, not only within ourselves, but in the universe and the greater, grander plan. This should kind of pluck us out of the darkness, put us in a pretty comfy situation, I would say, in order to usher in this very dramatic time of energy change with the equinox energy. Again, it's a whole karmic reset. I do encourage you, go ahead, listen to this week's ascension forecast, go ahead, listen to the astro forecast that I put out for the equinox for Libra season in its entirety. There is a Libra season e-guide that you should be downloading, that you should be working through as we kind of have the events come at us that, of course, Libra season will bring us. And overall, 13 different aspects here today, and 11 of them involving the moon. You best believe that we are in for a changing day. Now, let me just also say that we will see the moon in Sagittarius go void, of course, at 3:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be locking into Capricorn energy, 4:21 p.m. Now, I think it's actually a good thing that we're moving into the moon being in Capricorn energy as we move through this equinox gateway, and of course, as we usher in an air season, which of course Libra season will be. This is going to ground us out. This is going to kind of make sure that we're not getting ahead of ourselves or running away with thoughts and ideas. It is going to provide us a logical, practical approach to some of the changes that not only we want to make, but that are taking place and happening with or without our permission. So this is going to give us a little bit of a grounded attempt to seeing where we have to step back, act as the observer, take the hints and clues that are taking place in our lives, really piecing that together on what our choices are, what decisions we still have to kind of sort through, and what direction we are orienting ourselves to actually take. So the moon in Sagittarius energy, going to make a positive interaction with Jupiter. Jupiter rules over the Sagittarius energy, so this is a little bit of an intense interaction. Jupiter, who is the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who is currently retrograde in Taurus energy, has given us a little bit of a time out to move inward, to really reflect back upon where it is that we thought we would be at this particular point in the calendar, whether or not we're still in alignment with some plans, some goals, some dreams, some visions that we had coming into the year, and whether or not we just need to take a pause and really kind of observe the changes taking place in our physical realm, especially where relationships are concerned, to figure out where it is that we actually have the opportunity to grow, to improve, to heal from here. This particular interaction is definitely going to kind of poke us in the right way to get a little bit out of the funk. You know how sometimes when you're in a bad mood, all you need is that one person to poke at you. And at first you're like, stop, I don't want to smile. I don't want to laugh. And then they continue to poke at you. And then suddenly you break the funk, you break the character. And now everybody's in the pea giggle type of situation. That is what this is all about. We're trying to break out of the funk. We're trying to orient to the positive vibes. We need to be optimistic and confident, even if we don't have very much evidence in our here and now for us to feel that way. We really do need to be tapping into the high vibrations and frequencies as we're moving through this equinox gateway so that we have the chance of actually aligning with soul contracts and timelines that are of a much higher vibration than the ones that we're currently moving out of. The moon is then going to interact with Uranus, the Great Awakener, who is also retrograde in this Taurus energy, although different vibe, because this is an internalized awakening, an aha moment, an epiphany that's popping off within us, seeing different perspectives, seeing different understanding, seeing where it is that we're actually creating the blockage in the path and the progress that we were hoping to make by this particular point in the calendar. The moon interacting with Uranus in this way is not the most favorable, but is in a situation to illuminate for us choices, decisions, paths, directions. Of course, Uranus is over here wanting us to break away from the old in order to have a spontaneous change, to enlighten ourselves and align with a new path of higher vibration and frequency where possibilities are concerned. The moon in Sag does have a little bit of an over-exaggerated perspective on what is possible, but don't worry, once we move into the moon in Capricorn, we're going to come back down to earth. We're going to get logical and practical in our approach to see what is actually possible for us, but we want to dream the biggest dream available to us in this Sagittarius energy. Now, Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger, who happens to be in his weakest placement in this Libran energy, stuck in the intellectual battlefield of trying to sort through, process, and charm his way closer to the path in which is going to align him with his desires. Mars is not happy in this Libran energy, so there's a lot of indecision, there's a lot of restlessness, there's a lot of intense urges that we want to take action and make moves, but without a plan and strategy, it is just a waste of time and energy. Mars is interacting in a positive way with Mr. Uranus, who is retrograde in this Taurus energy, and this is definitely going to wake us up and shake us up in a way to show us where it is that we do have a craving for change. We do really have a craving for progress. And we may actually come up with a new inspiration, a new motivation on how it is that we are going to switch things up, how we are going to implement changes. We are definitely open to breaking away from the mundane tasks and chores the same way that we've been doing the same old thing in order to add a little bit of spice to our circumstance, to our scenarios. Now, the moon is going to go ahead and trine beautiful interaction with the North Node in Aries energy. Of course, the North Node in Aries energy is the path that we have to be on in order to reach our soul's path, our soul's potential. And right now, because this is a trine and we get some fire on fire energy here, it does feel like we are building in excitement, building in inspiration, building in motivation. There is a little bit of growth. There is a little bit of progress. There is a little bit of healing. There is a little bit of improvement. We are going to take every little tiny step that we can in the right direction. And we are also going to give ourselves a pat on the back whenever we feel like we've made a major shift, even in our mental plane. Choosing to pluck out the silver linings, to stick with the happy, optimistic, confident type of perspective, even when you're challenged and triggered by your circumstance, is the name of the game here. It's how we rise above. It's how we lock in a new timeline. It is how we signal to the universe that we have outgrown our particular situation and circumstance and that we are open for change. The moon in Sag going to get in the boxing ring and square off with Neptune. Neptune, of course, retrograde in Pisces energy in its place of power, really kind of kerfuffling, if you will, our ability to align with our higher selves, to trust our intuition, to receive psychic downloads and insight, not because we're being punished, but because many of us would live in la la land, projecting ourselves in imaginary situations and circumstances without ever coming back down to earth to actually confront some of the not so nice situations that many of us have been running from and looking to avoid. This particular energy is definitely going to show us where it is that we are struggling to maintain this positive outlook, this positive mood, this positive attitude. There's an overwhelming, I'm going to say, suffocation that comes with the negative aspect of Neptune being retrograde in Pisces energy, where we just want to escape our physical realms, where we want to live in la la land, but we can't. We're being forced to make some very heavy decisions, heavy choices in our physical realms. And we're really being illuminated with this aspect on where it is that we're allowing fear to dictate our choices and our decisions, because many of us are stepping down from situations and circumstances that we need to be stepping up to just because we don't feel safe, secure, prepared, or well equipped to really make the kind of changes that we need to be making here in this particular timeline. Now, Mars is going to interact with Saturn in not the nicest way. Saturn, of course, the Lord of Karma, who is retrograde in Pisces energy, helping us to dissolve our old belief system, our old version of self, really understanding where we have to build new systems, new structures, new foundations in order to be encouraged and supportive within ourselves. This is about tackling where it is that we're not feeling so safe and secure in our lives, mostly because of the narratives in which we've been telling ourselves, where it is that we have to eliminate that particular narrative in order to actually see things as they are. Saturn, typically speaking, brings a little bit of a reality check into play. And even more than this is like us pumping the brakes. Now, let me just say, Mars does not enjoy the pumping of the brakes. He wants to go forward. He does not want to be stopped. He does not want to be challenged anyway. He does not like to slow down. However, the tough love life lessons that Saturn tends to teach us right now, we're learning where it is that we have to slow down. We have to act as the observer. We have to be very clear in defining our obstacles in order for us to actually come up with a plan and strategy that is worth exerting our time, our energy, and attention to move forward. Now, especially in the face of adversity, especially where you're kind of facing resistance in your life, especially where change is concerned, this is where Saturn is going to teach us the toughest love life lessons. It's almost like we are more aware of the blockages, of the obstacles, and our inability to assert ourselves in the kind of fast fashion that Mars would prefer. And therefore, we're really going to get a very tough love life lesson in patience. The moon goes ahead, interacts with Pluto. Pluto's the great transformer who is retrograde in Capricorn energy, helping us to completely destroy and dismantle the systems, the structures, the foundations of our physical realm that are now proving to hold us back, really prevent us from moving forward. But this is a positive interaction, which means that there is an emotional shift taking place. We are understanding where we have the opportunity to boss up and take the creator power back. Many of us just kind of, ebbing and flowing with whatever kind of shit circumstances get thrown our way. Well, now is the time for us to be building ourselves up in optimism and confidence in order to take the power back and to make something beautiful out of the ugly hands in which we've been dealt. The moon then going to interact with Uranus again. This time, more of a beautiful aspect. This is an aha moment. This is an epiphany. This is a lightning bolt coming down from the higher realms of intelligence to really shift our perspective, to shift our thought process, to shift what it is that we've been stuck on, what it is that we've been sitting in, especially where the moody funk has been concerned. This is elevating us. This is showing us a perspective, a detail, a side that we haven't been illuminated to thus far. And this is a situation where once you know, you can't unknow. You can only do better because of it. The moon is then going to interact with Mars in a very positive way. This is definitely going to help build upon those previous aspects that we just talked about. This is kind of pushing us into a new type of warrior spirit, a new mood, a new attitude. We may be inspired, we may be excited, we may be motivated, we may be determined. Hopefully that is all coming from a positive trigger and activation. However, sometimes a negative trigger and activation can be the proper fuel to the fire that we need in order to make the changes that we're hesitant in actually making. 3:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course, we have the moon entering into the boxing ring to square off with the sun. This is what gives us our first quarter moon in Sag. It doesn't feel good. It highlights urgency. It highlights tension and conflict in order for us to realize where a major change is needed first and foremost. The moon, typically speaking, connects us to the past, where it is that we've been and where it is that we're coming from. The sun, typically speaking, shines a bright light on the future, what it is that we have to do, what it is that we have to embody. And in Virgo energy, we got to get a grip. We got to get our shit together. We got to put a little bit more organization into the crazy, chaotic realm in which just seemingly tends to fall apart. Now, we've been going through a little bit of a back and forth process on figuring out who and what needs to stay, needs to go. The Virgo energy is here to identify the problems in order to fix them. The moon in Sag, definitely showing us the greater, grander vision of why we had to go through some of the experiences that we've been going through in order to prepare us for this present moment where a major change, a major transformation in our path, in our direction moving forward is about to take place. It is also at this time that the moon is going to go void, of course. Now, granted, we have a very short amount of time that the moon is void here, and we all want to be thankful for that because typically speaking, when the moon goes void, things are shaky, things are uncertain, things are crazy, things are chaotic. We don't need that. We need to focus on the positives, to hold the vibration high as we go through this equinox energy. We lock into this Capricorn energy at 4:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And 2 minutes later, we have the very first aspect popping off with the moon in Capricorn, which just happens to be a not so nice interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who is retrograde in Taurus energy. Now, this is Earth on Earth, so we're going to feel heavy. We're going to feel weighted. We're going to be majorly focused in the present moment, in the here and now, on our physical bodies, in our physical realms, and the physical aspects that make up our physical realms. Jupiter, yes, does want us to grow and expand, but now with Capricorn energy, we need to slow down. We have to really take control over the situation. We have to make sure that we're going very slow, very steady in order for the steps in which we are trying to accomplish to make sure that they are going to be strong enough to house the next chapter of our lives. So although there is this huge spotlight on where it is that we do have an opportunity for growth and improvement, we want to kind of slow the roll here just a tad so that we can take the lay of the land and act as logical and practical in building a strategy to actually move forward as possible. The moon in Capricorn going to sextile Saturn. Saturn rules over Capricorn energy, so we're having a little bit of an intense interaction with the ruler here, who happens to be retrograde in Pisces energy. What I love about Earth energy and water energy is that a major transformation takes place. Considering the fact that when you water Earth, something new will grow. And when you constantly have emotions eroding against the systems and structures in the physical realm, which you emotionally are no longer attached to, what happens? We change form. We change circumstances. We change foundations. We change structures in order for growth to take place. Now, the moon interacting with Saturn in this way does kind of bring us down a couple of pegs, but not in a negative way, just so that we're grounded, we're present, we're logical, we're practical, we're slowing the roll, we're acting as the observer to see what needs to grow, what needs to build, what needs to be strengthened in a lot of ways. Because, of course, Saturn is dissolving the old ways, the old belief system, the old version of self. So this is a very, I'm going to say, intense interaction that will illuminate for us where slow and steady will 100% win this race. The last aspect that we got going on here is the moon in Capricorn, making a not so nice interaction with Venus, who of course is the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, who is still trying to clear up the confusion of her post-retrograde shadow period in the heart and soul of the zodiac, which just happens to be Leo energy. Now this is going to put us in a little bit of a funk because the moon in Capricorn would prefer to keep the physical body focused on tasks and chores that actually show immediate progress. And we don't really like to dabble in our emotions. We would actually like to distract ourselves with the to-do list so that we don't have to think, we don't have to feel. We don't have to think about emotions and think about what that means. Well, Venus, who's all up in the heart space, who wants to do nothing but feel, she's kind of shut down in this particular realm. We are only focused on right now what isn't making us happy, what does not bring us joy, what does not contribute to the overall pleasurable experiences that we should be having, what isn't supporting us in safety and security and stability, because those are the things that we need to put on the to-do list for the moon in Capricorn to absolutely tackle, to come up with a plan and strategy on how it is that we're going to minimize these particular influences, ruining our time, ruining our day, ruining our long-term goals, and in turn flip the script and start building towards something that is a better situation and circumstance than the ones that we're currently looking to get away from.